and we're all here for the hackiest bit on the internet. The hackiest, oldest bit that has never changed and will never change. And it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week. So let's crack a beer for this one, folks. I'm in the mood for it. Nicolo Piccolo says, Grok, you are now Mecha Meltzer and Mecha Bethel. Because Grok confirmed, if you guys forgot, well, didn't confirm, but said, yo, according to reports of this SE Scoops or whatever, and it was Bethel's report, the viewership should be this or whatever. And then Dave Meltzer as well. We've had him arguing with Grok. Now he's confiding in Grok. He's like, you can go to Grok and ask them if you have a television show that averages 1.89 viewing hours on 5.3 million viewer hours and 2.8 million views, which consists of one group, live plus same day, who aren't commercial free, Brian, that watches 1.85 hours and another that watches 2.50 hours. What is the total number of viewers that watch 2.50 hours? Some of us figure it out ourselves to get that info, but you can just ask that question yourself. And then he just got owned. Tony Khan just shut it down, and Nicolo Piccolo's like, Grok, you are now a Mecha Meltzer. So again, Nicolo Piccolo just going at Dave. So again, this Nico guy says, you're using assumptions in your calculations. I listened to you and the people you work with all the time. No one is giving you the exact concrete numbers of PCTS. This is very disappointing, whatever. And then Nicolo Piccolo said, educated. What unaccredited online university is that? Because Dave Meltzer says the only assumption, which is, an uneducated one, is that Raw doing 179,000 views live worldwide last week is clearly too low. And then Nick is like, yes, you're supposed to believe this guy's better at math and has the real numbers, not the publicly traded tech company sitting at 516 billion market cap. Okay, boomer. Says okay, boomer to him. So here is Bryan Alvarez, and him and Meltzer both admit that the MJF Hangman Page segment on Dynamite was trashy.
Last week was great. Last week's segment with Hangman and MJF was awesome. It was like the heel tried to get all cocky. The babyface outsmarted him. Hangman looked like a hero. MJF looked like a heel. It was a great setup. Fans hate the idea of a cash-in. They wanted this thing to be done. And so it was like everything got settled. And then not only did they just undo everything this week, but then they go backstage and like Hangman's throttling Ricochet, and like 50 security guys show up to save Ricochet. And
shout out Meltzer said what? Who just sends me nonstop gold. I love this guy so much.
It's like, where the hell were you guys when Mark Briscoe was about to be burnt to a crisp? Nobody cared about Mark Briscoe. Nobody goes to save the guy. You undid this great interview segment that you did last week. Now you've got this cash-in thing back that everybody's already been complaining about. It's like, oh my God. Like, if you had a better idea, like, that's fine, but there had to be a better thing than just undoing everything that you did last week that everybody loved and was a great segment, by the way. And now it's just like, it never happened.
Yeah. Plus,
I did not like this at all.
No, I don't think anyone did. I heard in the arena it went pretty flat too. But I mean, the one thing is that
I heard in the arena. Well, you weren't in the arena, so you heard from someone who heard in the arena.
You know, I mean, theoretically, you know, the fact that it did so well in the ratings may have been its undoing. And then the other one too is
that's all fine if it does good in the ratings, but you know what? If you want to do a second,
it's a live show. The problem is they talk like, now the contents on the show is important. The contents of the live show are important. And sure, they can, like, if something crazy's happening on a show, the ratings can go up and stuff. But they act like that's what's going on with AEW. That isn't, man. It's just people are going to watch AEW and nothing else is on, or it's just the core sickos that we boiled it down to. We know that. So when you're like, oh, it did a big rating, and it's not because of anything that's like going on in the show, dude. It kind of sucks that it did a bigger rating and then this segment happened on the show, you know?
Second match with MJF and the Hangman.
But the people tuning in that gave it the quote unquote bigger rating are already expecting it to be what it is. You know, it's AEW.
And you can just find a way to do a second match with them.
I know.
You don't have to reinstate the contract. Like, you don't have to undo everything great that you did. Like, listen, if that segment did great, that probably means everybody was really into it and thought it was cool. So now, for those people that thought it was great, you're just going to go in and undo it?
Yeah, I didn't like it either. The other thing I didn't like, which and it's the pattern, is Mark Briscoe deserves better. I mean, he's like a freaking.
I fucking agree. Dave Meltzer's smart moments of the week. Let's go, Dave. Okay, Davey.
You know what I mean? It's like this guy. The people really
They
want to
just beat him down and beat him down and beat him down.
How many times does MJF just use him?
Because the only reason, and this is going to sound harsh, but it's the fucking truth. The only reason Tony Khan uses him on TV is because when his brother passed, it gave him a pass to do so, and now he'll use them. Now I listen to fans. Now he'll use Mark as like a pity thing almost.
The best guy's Tony Khan.
As basically a guy for him to get over on, which is fine, if it's once or twice, because MJF he's headlining a pay-per-view, going for the world title. He should go over him, okay? But, not constantly every single week. This guy does a promo, I'm going to kill you. You know what I mean? I'm coming here to kill you for my family and all this, and everyone gets behind him. And then he always fails. It's just like, I suppose someday maybe he'll get a win.
Dude, the only way.
Damn, Dave's spitting, dude. What the fuck? What the fuck, man? Dave was spitting. So here is Lance Storm and Bryan. This is a try-and Bryan with Lance Storm, who keeps it fucking real. Shout out Lance Storm. He keeps it real on that show. Shout out Filthy Tom Lawler. But here's Bryan Alvarez talking with Lance Storm about Javon Evans. They're trying to book him like 2013, 2014 Daniel Bryan. And I don't really see what's wrong with that. I'm sure Bryan will point it out.
You said I was going to be happy with the Javon thing?
He won.
Dude, I hated it. Javon's special, right?
Yeah, he got the win. He didn't necessarily get put over.
He fails and they beat him, and he fails and they beat him. And it's like, oh my God. I got it. It worked one time for Bryan Danielson because you guys were stupid. And then the fans forced you to do it. And then you did it and you took credit for it. Now you book like that. Trick beats him and he beats him and he beats him and he beats him and he beats him. Trick is going to go to finish him off. He's going to go to hit his finish. And he starts running,
points at him,
and he freezes, and he looks over. It's the wall, brother. No, it's Santana. And then boom, Javon hits two moves and he pins him. And then the moment he gets,
I kind of agree with that. I think Santana should have been in the crowd, walking through the crowd, and then it distracts Trick, right? And then maybe he hops the barricade just to look, and point or something. I totally agree with that. However, I think what WWE was trying to do is use the building, actually use it in a way where it's like, hey, look, this guy's in the balcony. AEW does that shit a lot, which is cool. But yeah, I don't know if it was the right move. I kind of agree with that, watching it back, or discussing it back, I guess, with Bryan while he's spitting at us here. So again, Bryan and Dave spitting today, but I don't agree with him. So, well, I guess we'll finish this, but is he upset that they're booking Javon like this? I mean, that's what Bryan, they had to change a whole WrestleMania around him. Why wouldn't you want a guy that over,
This pin.
It fucking seems like if it worked, fuck, do it again in a different way. This seems pretty smart. Javon has what it takes, I think, to go very, very, very far in pro wrestling. And will he ever be the tippy top star? I don't know. Will he ever be a WWE champion? I don't know about that yet. Fuck, man. If you got another Danielson on your hands, it's clearly working, man. People are behind Javon. I love this kid. Yeah, he sells his ass off, too. He's really fucking good at selling, and you can tell someone told him, your money's going to be in selling for these guys and fighting from underneath, man. He does a great job.
The show is off the air. At the very least.
It's more, yeah. Speaking of Superman, it's fucking Bizarro Meltzer here, dude.
Should have ended
Weltzer. Bave Weltzer, right?
The match 3 or 4 minutes early, give Javon the mic, and let him cut a promo. Dude, he's going for the world title on Sunday. There's no shows between now and then.
Damn.
That's it. That's the build to his title shot. He lucked his way into a finish, and they went off the air. This is so easy. And they've made it
The
so
problem is, like, how is Bryan? You rarely fucking hear him go off like this about AEW shit when it's like, yeah, sometimes in wrestling, people luck their way into a win, or how do you know, like, Trick's running at him? Okay, Javon could have got out of the way and shit, and like we know it's kayfabe. Like, there way more egregious shit will happen on AEW, and he just lets it slide while Dave's like, this was over, and I heard 30% of the audience was on fire, Bryan, and then Bryan will just put his head down and go, yeah. Moving along. But for this, he's like, it's not hard to fucking blah, blah, blah. Bro, Javon's ascent has been like a long-term thing. Just the overarching story of his ascent. And to say, oh, he fluked out a win. Okay, well, you could say, like, you better yell about Hangman fluking out a win, getting his foot on the rope or whatever, too, right? Like, we could just put that, oh, he fluked out a win. You could say that when someone gets a roll-up win in WWE or in any pro wrestling fed, so that it just seems like a weird assessment, but let's let him finish.
hard with Javon. They've made it's like they build this barrier of difficulty in front of getting over a guy who, like, is already over, but, like, you just keep beating him. You're, like, trying to prevent him from...
But he got the win over Trick, and then he lost to Oba, so they don't keep beating him. And the reason he's losing is because he can afford to right now in his career because of his age and where he's at, the long term of what the game is, right? And he's like, it's like a Daniel Bryan thing. Exactly. Maybe they know that, and they know that they're tapped into it, and that's what's going to get him so... okay, a bunch of people are over. Hangman's over, but there's a level between, like, a Hangman and a Punk. What's that next gear? Okay, let's say Javon's over. Well, there's levels between Javon and Danielson. So how do we take it to that Danielson level? I don't know why he's tripping out about this. It's like, yeah, dude, they're doing the pro wrestling thing. And this is the problem with NXT that I've pointed out so many times on the show chat. This shit can't be on TV. Because for as young as Javon is, we shouldn't be seeing all this shit. We shouldn't be seeing him getting thrown over ropes through announce tables 10 feet, through the fucking air through an announce table. We shouldn't be seeing that on TV yet. He should be doing that at a Mania or on a Raw to build up a match, or at a PLE on the main roster. But unfortunately, developmental got so fucking popular that it now beats the number 2 company AEW's A show and shit like that. And we're all watching it. We need to get back to where it's like regional fucking indies that only are on TV, but then people will just leak it online. People will just leak it online and the sheets will talk about it. So it's impossible. So what do? You make Evolve. And then you just let the indies indie and then hope you can develop some in a different manner and then sort of do this regional shit with 10 people in the crowd on fucking YouTube. So it's messy because the internet, and I understand why we have to view this stuff now, but at the same time, it's like we shouldn't even be seeing his ascent yet in this form. It shouldn't happen until he gets on the main roster. Dude, I was watching The Vault and an Elimination Chamber came on and Chris Masters came out and they were like, this motherfucker turned 23 today. And I was like, Jesus Christ. I wish I looked like that at fucking 22.
Bryan.
I don't know about you. I'm feeling 22. Right? This motherfucker came out. They said it's his 23rd birthday. And dude was just jacked. Already losing hair too. Already balding. You know what I'm saying? But damn, was that guy ahead of his time too. He just understood that shit on a level for 22. It's like, whoa, dude, you forget how young that motherfucker was. Meltzer said what post while discussing which promoter hypothetically would have expanded nationally on cable if Vince wasn't around in the 80s. Dynamite Dave, Meltzer's his own best friend, or Dave Meltzer's own best friends admit that he hates WWE and refers to them as the evil empire. So his own friend stooge. Dave says it's hysterical because if I did, I'd be in Maui and not working 120 hours a week, let alone praising WWE more than AEW since 2022. Although that has turned around this year. And that's this Ryan Frederick gentleman saying it's hysterical how many people believe Dave owns any part of AEW. Yeah, I'll take responsibility for kind of starting that fucking rumor, but for real, I mean, it got Bischoff and shit talking about it. I mean, I just invented that as a joke. Who was saying 3% before me too? Like, that's the whole bit we do here. 3%, 30%, right? So it's like, he just adds 3 to shit, right? We're making the joke. It's like Jim Carrey in 23, blah, blah, blah. You guys already know. So I'll take a little responsibility. It was a bit. It wasn't like serious, but would you be shocked or like what? Or it's more depressing that he doesn't. Then this is more sad if he doesn't. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? By saying maybe he owns a stake. Does he really know? Is that even more sad that he shills so hard for them? Yes. And I actually owned a dirt sheet, or pardon me, an Observer dirt sheet writer who writes for their website. He owned himself actually debating me. He got mad at me. And it's in this segment that we're about to get to. Me versus the Observer confirmed. And he was ready to pop off. Like, this guy was ready to duke it out with people because before anyone even came at him, he fucking tweeted out about his own article. I'm sure this will get normal reactions. And anyone who does that is looking for people to get abnormal reactions. You're asking for it. You're welcoming it in. Simon Miller does this. It's just such an easy way to get likes, you know? But either way, whatever. Don't hate the players, hate the games. I like Simon Miller. Dave is like, if I owned some of AEW, I'd be super rich on an island somewhere. It's like, okay. Or would you just still be covering wrestling because you love it? And Dave says, I would love to take credit for the second most profitable company of all time, except if you read, you'd see I don't treat AEW any different from CMLL, WWE, New Japan, or any other major group. But that's the problem with not reading. You say things laughably untrue or on a multitude of blah, blah, blah. Dave, you do. You fucking do. And just saying not reading. We read your shit on this show all the time. We read your fucking tweets and everything all the time. We know how you word things for AEW. We know how you word things for WWE. We've caught you. Reading's a problem for you. So like when reading your tweet from years ago that says the overall viewership matters, and then reading your tweet years later saying the key demo matters. So like when we read that, you being a fucking hypocrite and a dumbass and condescending towards people. And so that's why you get this energy back from me. That's why you've spawned me, Dave, from an evil little egg. So here we go. Here's his own friends sort of stooging that Dave refers to them as the evil empire. And this guy who writes for the Observer, he said that as well. Like, dude, we get more views for when we cover WWE shit on the site. And I go, yeah, but your site's falling off and doing fire sales. Why? Because WWE's the hottest fed. But the way you guys cover it make people feel like it's an AEW shill rag, so they're not willing to spend money on it. Dumbass, I just owned you. You just owned yourself. We're going to get into that. It's hilarious. But yeah, let's listen to Dave's own friends talk about how he talks about WWE.
All of a sudden, we're reaching people halfway across the U.S. What if we ran a show? Would we be able to draw? And once you start playing that game, the engines are starting.
Yeah, but it was gonna be. I could almost see it as almost against their own will. You know, like the promoter.
Yeah, someone's pointing out that he just went off on AEW like a couple segments ago. You're right. Maybe I'm wrong about that. And we did play an E-flute, so they were being pretty based. But a lot of times, well, okay, he was going off there and maybe he's feeling, but here's the thing though, Dave agreed with him on that one. You know what I mean? Like when there's things that he disagrees with Dave on, he kind of puts his head down. He has started to fight back more, but he tries, when Dave starts like spurging out about CMLL in these lucha matches on Collision, he kind of just puts his head down and tries to move it along more times than not because he disagrees. But when he knows Dave agrees with him, then he's more willing to go off because he knows Dave will accept it. You know what I mean? Is that a fair assessment, or is that me trying to like put two pieces there that aren't there? I think if we from right now continue to chronicle it, like Dave agreed with him there, so he was more willing to go off. But the next time, if it's something they don't agree on, Bryan will kind of push back a little, and then it'll turn into a big argument, or it just turns into him putting his head down and then fucking just kind of trying to rush it along. You know what I mean? We'll keep track of that, and we'll see if your boy Philly Phil's right about that.
Be like, well, I don't want it, like, because they all wanted to follow the little structure they had. So eventually, one of them was just gonna do it by default. And then that, who knows what would have happened from there. I'm sure that person would have had hits sent on him as well. Maybe they would have sent Harley Race to go break his leg. But if it was Bill Watts, shit, that ain't happening.
Well, Dave's thought on Bill Watts was just that he had the unfortunate scenario geographically of just being in Oklahoma, and you'd rather be in New York or you'd rather be in the Carolinas than be in Oklahoma if you're going to try and if you're going to try and drive business.
Yeah, Vince did definitely have the territory that, you know, one that was already an advantage being in New York City or whatever.
Yeah. You know,
and Dave will never let you forget because Dave hates Vince and WWF and WWE. So the evil empire, as Bryan says, Dave's always calling WWE.
Bryan says Dave's always calling. He just they threw you under the bus, Dave. They threw you under the fucking bus and you got caught by your own fucking friends behind the scenes, the evil empire,
Just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
Yeah, Six. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna get to your chat there, Six, but just not in the Discord, okay? DM Six if you want to know. I can't go to fool's territory. Hey, Six, that's called fool's territory, okay? I can't get caught up in shit like that. Here we go. So let's finish this. So they just stooged him right there, and Bryan says that's what Dave's always. So Dave, it's funny because Bryan's gossiping about Dave behind his back, and then putting his head down when they disagree, and then fucking going, he calls it the evil empire, and Dave goes, I cover it favorably, but meanwhile it's the evil fucking empire. Sorry, just asking my wife if she could give me a glass for my beer, chat. Okay.
We're definitely going to talk about some current day WWE.
Yeah, so we just heard it right there. Dave Meltzer. Let's play it back one more time so you guys can hear that.
New York City. And Dave will never let you forget because, Dave hates Vince and WWF and WWE. So the evil empire, as Bryan says, Dave's always calling WWE.
Damn, that's hilarious. They just stooged him like that. That is fucking hilarious, man. Okay, moving along. We got lots more, Dave. Meltzer said what quote tweets himself and says, Dave Meltzer really described modern journalism like this without the slightest bit of irony or self-awareness. Let's take a listen.
The world of journalism is so different. It's like, for me, it's like it's a different world. It's like nauseating, but
I think we listened to this before, and it's funny because Dave's the nauseating one.
Changed. And believe me, I've accepted the change. I just hate it. In all across everything, it's just, the fakeness. The lawsuit over the Georgia voting thing came out, and the Fox host, testified under oath, in depositions about how they didn't believe anything that they said. They were just saying it because, that's what the audience that they have wants, and to me, it's like, that's like if you are out there and something is fake, it's fake, but you're pushing it anyway because that's what the audience wants to hear. That's like the worst journalism. I mean, journalism, part of it's having guts to go out there and go, you know what, this may not be a popular thing to say, but it's just the goddamn truth. And, we don't have that anymore. It's about picking sides, and you try to cultivate an audience that only wants to hear their one side. And
okay, so there you go. Dave. You understand the game. You're picking a side, and you've cultivated the audience that only wants to hear your side. They only want to hear the people that anyone else like myself that you block and shit. It's because they point out that you're friendly with AEW or that you clearly cover AEW differently. I'm surprised you haven't blocked Grok yet for all the shit he said about you, Dave. At this point, Meltzer's projecting. This is classic, like narcissism and shit gets thrown around on the internet so much. Dave Meltzer, I think, has some sort of sociopathy or sociopathy or whatever. You guys know what I'm saying? There's something there where you just look into his shark eyes. He's dead. He's like the leader from fucking he's dead behind the eyes. His brain's just like overloaded with fucking tidbits of shit that doesn't matter, to the point where he can't even formulate a coherent sentence. And he leans so one way AEW, and he's describing himself. He's blocked out anybody who's ever questioned him. He fucking argues with anybody who disagrees with him. And then he fucking puts over and pats himself on the back for anybody who shows him love, as we've already shown on this episode. He's projecting this onto other people. It's really just that simple, man. And yes, there is a lot of that. There's a lot of like, people just want to be reaffirmed of their own shit. I said it earlier in the show, dude, if I just picked a side, put my flag in the ground, I'd probably get more followers for sure. But Dave talking as though he doesn't participate in that is what fucking is just ludicrous. I have no idea how the fuck he thinks he can get away with saying shit like this.
They don't want to hear your side. They're not your audience. It's not about both sides. ESPN today
It's not about both sides. Dave, we know. Have you seen your coverage of the evil empire, as you call it?
Eliminated all AEW shows from their sports website. Now, some people are going like, oh, well, it's the competition.
They eliminated all AEW shows from their sports website. First off, you're not even saying it correctly. They eliminated the AEW tab, but they still cover AEW. They are in business with WWE, Dave. So who cares? You fucking blocked anybody who hates on fucking AEW. So why do you care? You deleted the fucking WWE tab off your Twitter feed, motherfucker. Like,
blah, blah, blah. Now they're on ESPN. It's like the news site and your television deals are supposed to be separate. Of course they're not. I mean, and this is not the first time something like this has happened, because when ESPN didn't have the NHL, they cut way, way, way back on coverage of the NHL across all platforms, even though they're supposed to be the sports leader, that covers all the important sports.
Yeah, well, AEW's not that important right now. And also, they're in business with WWE. Now, do I agree with Meltzer in the fact that, like, yeah, you get a lot of yellow journalism these days, buddy? Absolutely. I absolutely fucking do. But just the lack of self-awareness, as Meltzer said, what points out, is uncanny. Like the X-Men or the Sex Men, if you're if you're in chat here at PWT. Is House of Torture to blame for New Japan's struggling business? So again, man, we've been chronicling this here at PWT. I've brought on people on this show who are fucking huge Nuge marks, man. Like Sonal wrestling people are like, her voice is fucking annoying. And I'm like, well, too bad. I brought Marie Shadows on here. I brought tons of motherfuckers on this show to talk Nuge who are more expertly equipped to do so than myself, right? And so, Dave, what everybody can agree on is the AEW shit is hurting New Japan. The Japanese fans, as we've covered on the show, will admit that the AEW fans are that the AEW wrestlers and their fans are hurting New Japan, essentially. We covered it where at the beginning of the year, the New Japan show outdrew the AEW versus New Japan show the next night, and it had all the same stars plus AEW people. You think it would draw more? No. We've seen the fans turn on Gabe Kidd. Now, another slap in the face, Gabe Kidd being injured and out of the G1, and then he can go to a cage match for AEW. Like, they completely ruined that guy for the Nuge fans. And Tanahashi loves, we saw it. He was high fly flowing and shit. He loves marking out with Tony Khan, okay? And he loves the relationship with AEW. And so that's not going to change. I know a lot of people are like, nah, he'll wake up and go with WWE. No, man, no. Tanahashi's in charge, bro. He laid out his 10-point plan, and it strictly includes increasing our partnership with AEW and making it stronger and shit, right? So Dave Meltzer, instead of blaming, and again, Tony Khan, I believe Meltzer said this himself. He doesn't like Evil, who's the leader of the House of Torture faction, right? And apparently Evil is hated on by a lot of Nuge fans. And he is, right? I think when he became champion, everyone was like, what the fuck? Dave, I think, said recently, if it wasn't Dave, it was another sheet or someone reported that apparently Tony Khan doesn't like Evil and his style. And that's why he hasn't tried to use him in the crossovers and shit, right? Which I don't know if I believe that or not. But let's say that is true. He texts his daddy Dave. And now Dave is going to say, is New Japan struggling business because of Evil and House of fucking Torture, dude? Fat! Okay? He's going to blame House of Torture and Evil instead of blaming, clearly it's AEW. It's like a 1-to-1 fall off where anyone who's gotten involved with AEW other than CMLL, but let's be honest, they have good relationships with a bunch of people. And they have over the years. So it's like, unless you're CMLL, who else has been thriving, partnering with AEW or being bought by AEW, right? New Japan is struggling, and we can directly correlate that shit to AEW, in my opinion. Just looking at the shows earlier this year, Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dream or whatever the fuck it was, or night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom having the AEW stars on it and it doing shittier. There's so many things we can point to. Also the way like Kenny Omega goes there, beats Gabe Kidd. Again, I've harped on the Gabe Kidd shit ad nauseum, but let's hear what Dave has to say. He blames House of Torture and fucking Evil. I just can't get over this. He can't say it's AEW. It's gotta be this fucking guy that my son Tony told me he doesn't really like. The action figure he thinks is the least cool. Like the fucking Chavo Guerrero you'd get in the Los Guerreros set.
Their business is down. It's like, people are trying to go like, oh, in Japan, it's not that bad. If it's not that bad, why is their business down? It's down significantly. They did 6,800 people for the G1 final. It's never happened, except for like when people were afraid to go out. So it's like, this House of Torture thing, and it's like people groan. Everyone does. I hate the defense of it, like that. Oh, it works in Japan. It doesn't work in Japan. If it worked in Japan, we would know it.
Bro, how can he say? So this is the thing. Dave Forever's like, Osprey's the greatest ever. Omega's the greatest ever. And then everyone's like, it works in Japan. No, it works everywhere. Then they come over here. It doesn't work. Dave's got to invent lies and shit every week. And then he sits there and goes, oh, it doesn't work in Japan. So he's trying to keep it real here. No, bro, keep the same fucking energy for AEW. It doesn't work. That indie shit doesn't work in the mainstream. Oh, that New Japan shit doesn't work in the mainstream, bro. Why don't you keep the same energy? It's fucking nuts. Well, because they're growing 3.6 million every week. Meanwhile, Dave and BJ Bethel just got shut down by Tony Khan.
It would get the right kind of heat.
Because fucking Tony Khan said that he never heard that. He just saw a report saying that AEW gets over 1 million and shit. He would for sure know if it did. If it did, they'd tell him. They'd say, this is such a great success. They'd be touting it everywhere. But instead, at the Forbidden Door media scrum, Tony Khan says, I just saw a report. So what, BJ Bethel's report? And BJ Bethel claimed you corroborated it. So that means it's all just full of shit. Dave keeps using the Bethel report, but then he hides behind this fake shit. Well, I questioned it. Okay, but then people ask you, where does it say their numbers are this high? And then your math, and then you defer to it, and then you do your math based on it. So Dave's just a disingenuous prick.
It doesn't get the right kind of heat. Their business.
Yeah, neither does Osprey shit or Ibushi shit or Tanahashi shit. None of that shit gets the right kind of heat in fucking AEW, bud. So again, Dave Meltzer doing like, this is borderline padded room sicko behavior. This is a fucking sicko response. We've literally broken this down in the sicko segment, which will give Dave a sicko for This is insane. Jameel 5150 says WBD is $3 billion in debt. They didn't want ROH Max getting PLEs. Doesn't mean it's a wise investment for them. AEW has no leverage. And then Dave Meltzer says, what is WWE's debt? And it's like, Dave Meltzer, come on down. You're next up on The Price is Right. It's like, Dave, WWE's debt, they don't have debt technically. TKO has debt, $3 billion, which is now gone after that ESPN deal and shit. That is now a non-existent debt. But like, what are you talking? What is WWE's debt? That's a fucking sicko response. It's a sicko response. I just really can't believe he even said that. He knows good and got if he studied the business. Dave, if you study the business, you know that it's TKO's debt that's now gone because of the ESPN now.
Learn, baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
Meltzer said, do you know how truly atrocious an AEW segment has to be for both Dave and Bryan to trash it? We covered this. We covered them trashing that stuff. So good for us. We already talked about it. Here's him spurging out about journalism, which is hilarious and ironic. So Nick Khan gave a speech to the talent before Triple Mania. So again, this is on video, and it's not Nick Khan giving the speech. It's Triple H giving the speech while Nick Khan stands there. So again, dumbass Dave can't even fucking do his diligence and learn or study the business.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
And so he says they're only there to assist them being seen globally and to ultimately put more money into all of their pockets. A couple of the wrestlers afterwards were saying that they were hopeful it's true, but noted that with the new restrictions in their contracts, they are allowed to take a small booking in Mexico, but the contracts don't allow them to take a U.S. booking the same night in a city they had worked regularly. That would pay them 20 times that amount. Dave, it's the same deal. Mr. Iguana is not booking like U.S. dates that are paying him 20 times the amount until now. So like, yes, now because of WWE, he can go get that rate on an Indie in America or whatever the fuck. But they're telling him you can't do that because you're our TV guy and we made you a bunch more money and we boosted your profile. Dave, if you studied the business, you'd understand how this works. So he tries to make it sound all bad. So it sounds like AAA talent is not allowed to work independent lucha or regular shows in the US, but don't have restriction in Mexico. So just like their old deals. So the same as their old deals, because they're not even really new deals. They were just like merch shits that they were working out. And I tweeted this, man. I said, one day it's going to come out from people in AEW's own mouths how badly Dave Meltzer has fucked them over from the jump. And I'm going to take more victory laps than the Young Bucks in an empty building. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't know. But one day, man. And I wish some of these wrestlers would like back myself or people like me up, like vocally when it's beneficial to do so and not after the fact, or speak up a little bit more. But again, I'm not asking anybody to jeopardize their fucking jobs. You know, that's like ridiculous. Or I'm not saying people should like shoot on the company they work for and burn a bridge when they're standing across it or whatever. And there's no way back. I'm not fucking advocating for that. But at least when it comes to some of these sheets, but they know who fucking Daddy Dave is friends with, man. Tony Khan and him text. So a lot of these people can't shoot on Dave or won't because they know he'll bury them to Tony. And then that could maybe not get them a job, etc. So here's Meltzer said what? He says, hi, Meltzer. Remember when you said the same thing in 2020, but then your illegitimate son, Tony Khan, called you out about including AEW in your rule? And then you backed off like the coward you are. And then Lbou, of course, in here. Man, yeah, Daddy Dave. So Dave Meltzer responds to Paul Fontaine, who says, I made the mistake that Dave Meltzer has been warning me about for years, and I'm watching Raw right after watching the G1. These matches are just soulless. Meltzer says, I have a rule of never watching New Japan or CMLL before WWE. So, like, that's just admitting that you fucking hate on WWE. Like, that's admitting it. Right there.
Just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
It's shittier. I can't watch it after CMLL or New Japan. I don't think I've ever said that. Maybe someone can pull my card and own me with that, but I don't think I've ever been like, fuck, man, I wish it was AEW first or whatever when we're doing these fucking watch-alongs, like, or when they go head-to-head. I don't, I don't know, man. I just try typically and watch what's more relevant. So if there's like, dude, Wrestle Kingdom was last night and then Raw's on tonight or like NXT's on tonight, maybe that's a better... I'll go, I got to watch Wrestle Kingdom before fucking, you know, or even like Double or Nothing was on, NXT's on tonight, like just a regular show or something. I would fucking prioritize Double or Nothing just out of like the impact of, I guess, the magnitude of the show, I suppose. But Lbou said, I'd imagine the New Japan to WWE viewing experience drop-off isn't as stark now as it was during the peak of this rule 5 to 7 years ago, though. Like, Lbou's sucking Meltzer's balls. Why? Because he's trying to work himself into a job at the Observer. I promise you, he's trying to get under Daddy Dave's wing. That's all it is. It's just disingenuous ball sniffing. And he's like, the peak of this rule. Like, yeah, Dave, I knew about your rules 5 to 7 years ago. It would have hit harder back then. Am I right, Dave? I bet it was even worse 5 to 7 years ago. And then Tony Khan. Look at this shit. This is what Dave says. Never watch New Japan right before any other promotion. Always watch it last. I have that rule for a reason. Watch New Japan and everything after looks way too contrived in comparison. And then Tony Khan says, we've tried to set a standard by frequently opening with great matches we believe can stand up beside whatever you watch prior, like Kenny vs. Pac, Nick vs. Phoenix, and many others. I enjoyed the opening tag tonight too. Watch whatever you want before Dynamite. I'll take my chance. So right there, dude, just owns Dave. Even Tony Khan, the best guy.
The best guy's Tony Khan.
Based Tony Khan. Based triple cup, dude. Fucking Tony just pulled up, finna run amok on the fucking triple cup, dude, on Dave Meltzer. How fucking funny is that he just owned him? And then what did Dave have to say? Oh, there's no way you're right. There's no way, Tony Khan. You didn't study the business. Trust me. No other promotion stacks up to Nuge. And then now Dave's like, Nuge fucking sucks. It doesn't work in Japan. That stuff doesn't work, Bryan. And then meanwhile, Tony triple cups pulls up.
It gotta be triple.
Gotta be triple.
Walk around double cup.
Walk around triple cup. AEW. Tony's like, yo, Yo, AEW, especially when they were peaking back then in like 2020, when AEW was actually hot for the first year or two. He's like, dude, fuck around, triple cup, AEW, Dave.
Slow your whole
He's
time.
like talking about Nuge. Slow your whole Tokyo town down, Dave. I fucking stole everybody on their roster.
Double cup. I done got 2 cups, fill them up. I done scooped two gallons, purple stuff. I done took over your time, finna
I done scooped every wrestler in fucking Nuge. What's up? I done scooped every contract in New Japan. What's up? Finna run amok. Oh, shit, man. That's funny. He got owned by Tony back then. I don't even remember that. So Meltzer said what? Again, just doing the Lord's work here. And he says, web archives show the same page error message on the AEW tab of ESPN website back in July. And it looks like content was stopped sometime after April. So Dave's like, this, Brian, this yellow journalism, they've completely stopped covering it. It should be way before they stopped covering it is when this happened, I guess. Or like they're still covering it, but they removed the tab way before, I guess, they removed the tab. So July, April, nobody noticed because none of us go to ESPN for AEW or WWE news. Exactly. So Meltzer said what? Just owns the Observer. And then he says, of course, Dynamite Dave didn't even do the 5 minutes of research that I did yesterday in the AEW section of ES. I had to retweet this, man. More people need to see this. Here, let me fucking retweet that too. Because come on, bro, I didn't even know this till we did it on the show. I just bookmarked whenever Meltzer said what sends me shit, okay? And sometimes I just bookmark it. I just know it's going to be juicy without even reading it. So Meltzer said what says, Dave didn't even do the 5 minutes of research I did yesterday on the ESPN website and printed this anyways. And on the new Observer post a few hours ago, Dave and Gigi are still talking this tab story, 25-minute mark, unaware of this. So back in like July and April, they stopped covering AEW the way they did, and they got rid of the fucking tab. That is fucking crazy, man. He just dropped a bomb. Meltzer said what? Dropping bombs. So as a part of all this, it appears ESPN removed everything related to AEW from its sports news website after the deal was announced. The only stories on the front page of the pro wrestling section involved WWE, its video game stories on Chris Bay and Hulk Hogan, and a story on Real American Freestyle. There was an AEW tab still on the site, but if you click on it for AEW stories, it reads page error. And then obviously this happening the same day as the WWE starting the deal on the new ESPN tab is a very different story. But from the outside, this looks like a terrible breach of any journalistic ethics. So he's questioning the journalistic ethics of ESPN compared to his ass. Still, they've never done something as brazen with such obvious timing. This is an ESPN decision, not a WWE decision. For WWE to even be involved is a bad risk because the timing, along with lots of other things, is a bad look for the antitrust. Dave, you didn't even look into it, and it's a bad look. You fucking conspiracy theory asshole. I bet the fucking earth is flat in Dave's world too. Holy shit, man. Like, what the fuck is going on, you kooky bitch? Like, how is this what you come to? You didn't even look at the tab yourself. This is what I mean. He just goes off secondhand information. Like I do, but I make fucking jokes. You try to be serious. Like, you try to pass it off as journalism. Observer says, why are we not getting FTR versus Hurt Syndicate at Forbidden Door? It's because they're trying to bury Hurt Syndicate, man.
Everyone knows that it was supposed to be FTR against Benjamin and Lashley on this show. And in fact, it was supposed to be on the last pay-per-view as well, on the stadium show. And, obviously it didn't happen. And there was issues with, people not wanting to lose and all that, obviously from the Benjamin and Lashley side. And I was actually told about this one because, it was FTR was supposed to win the tournament and then get the tag team title shot at this pay-per-view, win the titles, defend against Copeland and Christian. That was the plan. And then,
why would you stooge all this?
I'd say about a week or two ago, I was told it's probably changing. It may be a 3-way, it may be a 4-way, or Shelton Benjamin may get injured. If FTR is winning the title, they may be beating Brody King, rather than Benjamin. Maybe it's a swerve and they'll agree to do it in a 3-way. But the reason it's not a straight tag is there was problems in that regard.
There was problems in that regard. So again, If you guys are in the Discord, you already know that my coverage of the MVP Mike Bailey situation, spot fucking on. Okay, we all know this as a fact. Okay, this is a fact of life. Yeah, and with that being said, I would say some of the shit I said about FTR is likely spot on as well. About, hey, they have heat with some of the boys too, because fucking what's his face is stooging and sucking balls all the time and going so hard in the paint defending AEW, and that might rub some people the wrong way. Some people might not want to put them over and shit either, or they might go, hey, you guys are washed. You had your time, like in 2023, you were on top of the world. But now it's like we want to get other people over and shit. That could be it too. But yeah, go back and listen to my coverage of that, and you'll totally get.
Everyone knows.
It's funny that Dave doesn't know this shit. Like Tony Liar. No, I was gonna call him Tony Lawn for some reason. Tony Khan tells Dave the booking, step-by-step booking, seemingly. I don't know if he tells him the finishes or the outcomes or whatever, but it's funny that Dave is like, well, there was a problem there. And he doesn't want to put it all on Hurt Syndicate because he's going to look stupid again. They'll make a video with FTR just shaking hands. They're just there to do business. They're not fucking marks for themselves. But they're also not marks for like this shit that Dave's a mark for. You know what I mean? Or I'm sorry, N-word, as Dave marks like N-word, Bryan. So NXT does really well with men who watch by themselves. This is what Dave had to say. Meanwhile, he's a man who watches AEW by himself.
You fucking mark!
So let's take a look here.
This is not the takeover era when those shows were something to look forward to. I mean, like, these are nothing lineups. I don't see anyone going out of their way to see it.
You got to check
a nothing lineup. Meanwhile, it rated on Cage Match just as high, the exact same rating as Forbidden Door. Why aren't you talking about that, Dave?
Peacock subscriptions for young single males.
Yeah, I know. The one thing NXT is doing real well is males who watch by themselves. That's the one thing that where NXT has really been doing well at is the male viewership.
So is Dave gonna pretend that girls and kids don't watch WWE or NXT?
Poor people don't like AEW.
We have Sassy Girl in the chat who was there at the show. Oh, mostly just guys who watch by themselves. You mean like you with your Joshi pillow when you're watching Mina Shirakawa, Dave?
It's incredibly high, and the female viewership for a show that draws the kind of numbers that they do is incredibly low. The male numbers are among the best on television, sometimes even the best on television, and the female numbers are like way, way, way down. This is not
okay. Maybe I don't know. Are they way, way, way down for NXT? I don't know. All I can tell you is this. It's predominantly women wrestlers that are like the most over characters on NXT. So if more guys are watching a show with the hottest babes, how does that and they're invested in the characters and they can wrestle good like Kalani Jordan and Lola Vice and Jordan Grace and well, some people hate on Jordan, but you know the ladies that, Julia was there, Stephanie. How is that a problem? He would never say mostly men watch UFC. He would never even complain about that. Yeah, but WWE is supposed to be for everyone. It's for kids and women and blah, blah. Well, maybe NXT's not. Maybe it's for young male adults, young adult males and shit like that. Like Dave just, maybe, I don't know. When you look at a WWE crowd, you see more women going crazier than ever, I think, now than it has been since like the Attitude Era. I'm not even joking. Like, just watch Raw, see the people going crazy. For Roman Reigns, you hear women fucking shriek and melt when that dude comes out. Like, I don't really know if Dave's like really tapped in. He's a guy who watches wrestling alone by himself. So, are you watching WWE, Dave? Sounds like you aren't. So Dave Meltzer, and shout out Neckbeards who posted this. Dave Meltzer says, okay, my time is limited. I'm watching Arena Mexico now. Have to watch SmackDown for work. What should be the priority? Rev Pro yesterday, Rev Pro today, Stardom at Korakuen, or Stardom today? And more important, which individual matches? So you mean to tell me he's watching all of that and he's got a shoddy there? I'm not good at the Ebonics, kids, okay? I'm trying to make jokes. He doesn't have a shorty right there with him. I botched it. No girl there to put a banana on his head, right? While he's watching all these 15 fucking shows. What's the key demo for people who watch Stardom, Dave? Is it old fucking single men watching by themselves like you? It's an all-female fed. Neckbeard says, my time is limited. I have lots of wrestling to watch. Ain't no way he watches all that. Because all of it, probably equals out to more than 24 hours, right? Like in a fucking day. But yeah, dude, Dave, it's pathetic at this point. And the projection is mighty in this one. So Dave Meltzer says the smartest people have for decades. Years means they have a lot of catching up learning to do. And this guy says listening to Meltzer for years is crazy. And he goes, the smartest people have for decades. And this guy goes, so right, you are Obi-Wan. You Bob Collins, Tony Starzen, and Les Thatcher, and have been and still are the most influential people in my wrestling life. As my disability worsens and I'm much closer to the end than the beginning, I can never thank you enough, old friend. So is he being sarcastic? He's like, so right, you are Obi-Wan. Like, how fucking crazy is that? And notice how Dave gets so much views on his shit and no interactions in comparison. Because he just has blocked everyone out. Like he exists in a bubble. It's crazy. And the smartest people have listened to me for decades. That's what he thinks, like he's the Holy Bible. It's so funny. And so speaking of Forbidden Door, here's Tryin' Bryan talking about how it was a very good show. This is his assessment of Forbidden Door. Let's take a peek at Bryan here.
I thought it was a very good show. It was not the best AEW show of all time. Probably not even close, honestly. But there were no bad matches. There was at least one bad finish. There was one spot in a match that I thought was flat out bad. Rest of the matches were good, very good, or great. So, 4.5 hours. It didn't feel all that long. Some people said it felt like a long show, but I didn't feel that way at all. I thought that they got in and out in 4.5 hours, no downtime between matches. None of the matches felt like they went way too long. I thought and from that perspective, very, very good show. I thought it was a very good show. It was not.
I mean, I don't know. He doesn't seem that enthused about it. I don't even really believe that that's his assessment on it. Dave Meltzer thinks Bozilla would be better off staying in Stardom after her impressive Forbidden Door performance rather than making a move to AEW or WWE. He says she is someone who would be better off spending at least another year or two in Japan, working with Stardom, getting better rather than coming to the US right now. But the fact that people have now seen her and that she did get over in this match I don't know what like this whole may get over, like what qualifies as over? Like what the fuck qualifies as over to Dave Meltzer? That's what I'm not understanding here. The thing with Stardom is she'll get to work several matches a week. Is if she were to go to WWE, she wouldn't get that. And if she were to go to AEW, she's not getting that for sure. Yeah, I'm not like a huge Bozilla. Like I know who she is, but I don't like know a lot about her. I haven't seen a lot of her shit. So yeah, stay in Stardom and sign a contract with someone. I don't know why Dave's fantasy mark booking, but at least he's being based by saying she should stay in where she's at instead of going to AEW. So Dave Meltzer had this to say about Danielson, who was on commentary for Forbidden Door. He says, Bryan Danielson should be out there commentating full time. And they had to put it in brackets because he doesn't even say that. Bryan Danielson should be out there, he brings, that's why it's in brackets. He brings all of the stuff that I always think that they're missing. I bet he does. He brings up every one of those things. He just does a great job. The things that he explains that are so good and the subtleties of the match, the strategies of the match, and he talks to the fans like they are intelligent. Yeah, I thought he did a good job. So we have 2 clips here to end the show, but first, here's me owning an Observer guy. And so this article gets posted. AEW Forbidden Door 2025 could break WWE record. And I quote tweeted this and said, so they might have sold more tickets than WWE in 2023, but they didn't do nearly as big of a gate. Saved you 5 minutes of reading wasteful shilling. And so Jake Sutter, and we can look at his profile here. He is a dad, writer at Wrestling Observer Figure 4, SEO at National World, graphic design at GP Fans Global, former This Is whatever, right? And he wrote this fucking article. And he said, Shilling is now reporting a fact. Incredible. And I wrote, according to WrestleTix, AEW might have done something better than WWE. Isn't facts. It's just shilling. Because they didn't. It's based off WrestleTix's fucking estimation. So this guy goes, I even wrote that WWE did a bigger gate. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? That's not what I said. And he says, AEW doesn't pay me, Christ. And I just own him. I'm like, they don't have to pay you. That would be called paid shilling. You're just a stooge, which is also shilling. Either way, doesn't matter. He's a fucking stooge. Like, paid shilling is different than just shilling. Like, I could shill anything to you guys. It doesn't mean I'm shilling. But I was like, which is also shilling. According to the Observer, bragging about capitalism is a disgusting promotional tactic. Remember, guys? You guys remember that? And I go, but when AEW's capitalism, it's look at the record they might have broken maybe. People are tired of it. And he says, a stooge, I've given WWE more money and promotion in my life than AEW. Get a grip. And I just say the Observer is an AEW stooge rag, bro. That's objectively how people view it. You need to get a grip if you don't understand that in 2025. And he says, no, that's objectively how you view it. No, subjectively, I think it's a complete and utter gossip fucking shit rag, okay? Objectively, it's people view it as an AEW shill rag. It's just that simple. Look at every post Observer does on Twitter. They get fucking ratioed with people just fact checking them or saying like, what the fuck? Like, no. So, and he says, and we quite frankly thank you for the constant free promotion. And he says, and Dave Meltzer listens to PWT. Confirmed. Where
The
is
best
it?
guys, Tony Khan.
Dave Meltzer and we thank you. Speaking for the
baby,
company.
learn. Meltzer Inferno.
Speaking on behalf of we, huh? Quite interesting. And I say the majority of people in the business and viewing it from the outside as fans agree with me. There's a reason your daddy Dave just blocks everyone and won't engage in any serious discussion with anyone outside of his bubble. That's why he hired you, your overly defensive self. Because here's the thing. If we go to his Twitter, he posted the article, then he quote tweeted it himself and said, I'm sure this will get normal reactions. He was like asking for it, bro. He waited. He sought me out too. He saw me quote tweet an article, not even mention him, and then started fucking. He was vanity searching his shit, started going off on me. So there you go. Like you're an overly defensive fucking guy that I bet in your interview was like, I love AEW and Stardom and shit. I guarantee. And he says, lastly, I wouldn't thank me. Observer's doing 50% off fire sales, massive discounts, and sending emails trying to get reader subscribers back every month. So what does this fool say? He continues. He says, LOL, Dave didn't hire me. I've never spoken to Dave. You have no idea how the site's business works, and you cater to a WWE-centric fan base to get your blue tick money. So I respond. I say, I don't make money from X. I don't qualify. I do know they hire overly defensive stooges like you. Observer caters to an AEW-centric fan base to sell gossip to room temperature IQ dumb fucks at 50% off. I cater to what's going on in pro wrestling. And he says, yeah, that's why we do bigger numbers on the site with WWE coverage, but you believe what you want to believe. And this is where he stopped because, I mean, this is fucking, I just owned him right here. This is the owned. I can't even see the response. So it says someone responded to me. I can't even see it. But I wrote LMAO, you get more views for WWE stuff because WWE is the hottest pro wrestling company in the world. You guys have to beg for subs to return and do fire sales every month because of the way you cover WWE. Because the majority of people agree with me that it's an AEW shill rag. It's hilarious. You're just setting yourself up to get owned here, proving my point for me, which is so fucking true. Like, how do you not get that? You just, and then I quote tweeted it actually. And I thought this quote tweet was hilarious. And I said, this just in, Wrestling Observer writer admits WWE is hotter than AEW on their own website. Dude.
Poor people don't like AEW.
I just thought that was a massive W for myself. And then him saying like, Dave didn't hire me. And like, we thank you for your constant promotion of, how do you know I constantly promote Observer by covering the shit? Who's we? And then you're going, well, Dave didn't even hire me and I didn't even. Oh man, so good. You gotta
Stupid idiot.
And so here is Dusty Dave talking about Chris Jericho and what his next move should be. Of course, him shilling, trying to get his friend a job. Totally fine, but hey.
All right, Chris Jericho's future, his free agency is coming up here. The last run of the Learning Tree character did not get over. I think he has even stated publicly that it just kind of wasn't allowed to because, the fans were going to feel a certain...
This is why I get blocked out, guys, because I feel like I'm just too, I'm too logistically sound, right? And I'll call out my own shit if it ain't stacking up, like we did earlier, where you guys were like, well, hey, Brian, just criticize. I'll call it out. I'm just too logically sound, I think, for these people who try and use illogic and use hypocrisy to try and create narratives. I'm just able to like logic train that shit apart. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And so I'm a fucking genius. It's hard to explain this shit, guys. No, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? That's why I'm able to just break these assholes down, and I'm just pre-blocked by all these sickos. Because it's not like I fucking hate AEW. You guys know that. Like, I'm just trying to bring reality to the forefront. Anyway,
about him.
I think if the AWA fan base didn't turn on him, I don't think that we're having this discussion at all. But they did, and then the reality is they did on Cody, and then Cody left. If he asked me for advice, which he has not, by the way, you know, and he doesn't have to because I write it anyway.
He has to put it out there. If he asked me for advice, which he didn't anyway. No, Dave, no one thinks he asked you for advice. They just think he goes, hey, leak nice shit about me because I'll stooge to you what's going on backstage. And Jericho, this is what I've heard. Ready? This is what I've heard from someone very fucking credible. It's all I'll say. And I heard this a long time ago. That Jericho stooges by he tells other people to stooge for him. Do you guys get it? He fucking will tell someone some shit that he knows will go and stooge on behalf of him, sort of, so it doesn't get any on him. And that's how he's managed to sort of stay above this whole over all these years, right? People will stooge, and it's Jericho stooging by proxy. But him and Dave, we know he likes the Observer. We know Jericho likes to hop online and go, these matches are 5 stars and shit. You know what I mean?
And read it. But and I know he has. But the thing is I'd go like, you know, unless the Tony offer is a lot better, you know, it's time to go for yourself. He shows up in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, hey, you want to go out there and get a pop? I mean, it's like, hey, that's the easiest one in the world, right?
Yeah, but it's not about an easy pop. There's so much more, which I've broken down ad nauseum. Again, you guys already know the Fozzy song, it'll go #1, the Fanatic shit, the podcast, the fucking Rumble, the Hall of Fame, the fucking Mania, the nostalgia in the video games again, all that shit. It's a one-man show, maybe like The Undertaker. We know Jericho's a mark for himself, likes to do all that shit. More high-profile guests for his podcast and shit like that. Come on, Lee.
I imagine
that is the easiest one in the world. And then you do some big thing for WrestleMania.
Like, he's just saying the surface level shit. He's not talking about like, hey, the fucking cruise, I can use these super over NXT and AAA and TNA talents and shit on this cruise and stuff like that. Like, he's not even looking at the bigger picture of why Jericho would go. He's just looking at the surface level Uber mark, what anyone can throw out there. So lastly, guys, and then we went so fucking long. I got to record a pod. There's probably people waiting like, where the fuck are you? You're late for your own pod. But we have Jeff Lane and Vince Russo, bro. Jeff Lane, I hung out with him and Husey. If you guys didn't see it, go check it out with Ben Hameen and all that. And it was fucking awesome. And shout out Jeff Lane. And hopefully I'll get him on the show sometime too. I'll shoot him a DM. But yeah, we have GG and Dave. They're just laughing. It's just a 6-second little funny clip.
UNLV plays, I think.
Right. And the Cox Center is also on UNLV.
The Cox Center.
UNLV plays, I think.
Right. And the Cox Center is also on UNLV.
The Cox Center.
The Cox Center. Oh my God. The Cox Center. What is that, like the name, or is that like where you be? Oh. Is that like where you reside? The Cox Center. Yeah, the Cox in the center. But don't forget the Bulls. Go. Yeah, the Cox in the center, but the tips on the end. Oh, give me another one. Bop. And yeah, so that, ladies and gentlemen, was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week. Meltzer listens to PWT, according to that writer.
This just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.